everybody, it's Mrs. Rebecca here with our very first read aloud of a fairy tale or a folk tale for older kids. So this is intended for elementary schoolers. Of course, you can watch if you're older than that. I love fairy tales and folk tales, and I'm a grown-up. And you can also watch if you're younger than that, but we might read some things that are longer than what we would usually read for like a story time. And like I know what we're reading next week isn't quite as happy of an ending. It's a little bit more graphic. Nothing terrible, but anyway, just a little bit darker than maybe what I would do at a story time usually. So that's sort of our warning. So this week we're going to read a twisted fairy tale. And a twisted fairy tale means exactly what it sounds like. It means that you have the typical plot of a fairy tale we might all know, maybe just with some tiny variations, and it's taken and it's turned around so that it uses a lot of the same characters and a lot of the same ideas as the original fairy tale, but it's totally different. And there's so many good ones of these out there and at our library, and I'll be getting even more this summer since our summer reading program theme is Imagine Your Story. So we'll be talking a lot about fairy tales and folk tales and things like that, and myths even. So today we are reading a twisted fairy tale, and it's called The Three Little Wolves and the Big Bad Pig, and it's by Eugene Trevisan and Helen Oxenbury. And it's probably quite obvious to you guys that this is a twisted version of The Three Little Pigs, where instead of the big bad wolf being the bad guy, the big bad pig is the bad guy. So let's go ahead and get started. Once upon a time, there were three cuddly little wolves with soft fur and fluffy tails who lived with their mother. The first was black, the second was gray, and the third was white. So I'm going to bring the book closer so you can see the picture of these sweet little wolves with their mommy wolf. One day, the mother called the three little wolves around her and said, "My children, it is time for you to go out into the world. Go and build a house for yourselves, but beware of the big bad pig." "Don't worry, Mother. We will watch out for him," said the three little wolves. And they set off. So there they go out into the world. Soon they met a kangaroo who was pushing a wheelbarrow full of red bricks and yellow bricks. "Please, will you give us some of your bricks?" asked the three little wolves. "Certainly," said the kangaroo. And she gave them lots of red and yellow bricks. So the three little wolves built themselves a house of bricks. So that's different because usually the story of the three little pigs starts with the straw house and just one little pig building. But here we have three little wolves all building a house of brick together. I wonder what will happen. The very next day, the big bad pig came prowling down the road and saw the house of bricks that the little wolves had built. The three little wolves were playing croquet in the garden. When they saw the big bad pig coming, they ran inside the house and locked the door. Do you guys see this big bad pig? Oh my gosh. I just love that illustration of this pig. And there's the wolves playing croquet. The pig knocked on the door and grunted, little wolves, let me come in." No, no, no," said the three little wolves. "By the hair on our chinny chin chins, we will not let you in, not for all the tea leaves in our china pot." And so there they all are, and the pig is outside the window there. "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down," said the pig. So he puffed, and he puffed, and he huffed, but the house didn't fall down. There he is huffing and puffing. But the pig wasn't called big and bad for nothing. He went and fetched his sledgehammer and he knocked the house down. Oh no. So there's the pig knocking the house down with a sledgehammer. And look, the wolves are getting away, which is nice. The three little wolves only just managed to escape before the bricks crumbled, and they were very frightened indeed, of course. "We shall just have to build a stronger house," they said. Just then they saw a beaver who was mixing some concrete in a concrete mixer. "Please, will you give us some of your concrete?" asked the three little wolves. So there they are. And a house made of concrete would be a very strong and kind of neat-looking house. "Certainly," said the beaver, and he gave them buckets and buckets full of messy, slurry concrete. So the three little pigs built themselves a house of concrete. And there they are building their concrete house. No sooner had they finished than the big bad pig came prowling down the road and saw the house of concrete that the little wolves had built. They were playing battledore and shuttlecock in the garden, which I've never heard of, but it looks to be similar to tennis. And I do love this concrete house. It looks so modern. It's almost like they live on a college campus or something like that. Let's see. Oh, the pig rang the bell and said,
"Little frightened wolves, let me come in."
"No, no, no," said the three little wolves. "By the hair on our chinny-chin-chins, we will not let you in, not for all the tea leaves in our china teapot."
"Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down," said the pig.
So he huffed and he puffed and he puffed and he huffed, but the house didn't fall down. Well, of course not. It would be very hard to knock down a house made of concrete. But I bet this pig will figure it out. This is my favorite picture in the whole book. I'm just going to go ahead and show it to you guys. Look at that bad pig. But the pig wasn't called big and bad for nothing. He went and fetched his pneumatic drill and smashed the house down. The three little wolves managed to escape, but their chinny-chin-chins were trembling and trembling and trembling. Well, that would be really scary. And there they all are getting out of the house. "We shall build an even stronger house," they said, because they were very determined. Just then they saw a truck coming along the road carrying barbed wire, iron bars, armor plates, and heavy metal padlocks. So almost like what a jail would be like or something, or like a military institution. "Please, will you give us some of your barbed wire, a few iron bars and armor plates, and some heavy metal padlocks?" they said to the rhinoceros who was driving the truck. "Sure," said the rhinoceros, and he gave them plenty of barbed wire, iron bars, armor plates, and heavy metal padlocks. He also gave them some plexiglass and some reinforced steel chains, because he was generous and kind-hearted rhinoceros. So the three little wolves built themselves an extremely strong house. It was the strongest, securest house one could possibly imagine. They felt absolutely safe. Wonder what's going to happen. Oh boy. The next day, the big bad pig came prowling along the road as usual. The three little wolves were playing hopscotch in the garden. When they saw the big bad pig coming, they ran inside their house, bolted the door, and locked all the 37 padlocks. The pig dialed the video entrance phone and said,
"Little frightened wolves with the trembling chins, let me come in."
Show you guys the pictures. "No, no, no," said the little wolves. "By the hair on our chinny-chin-chins, we will not let you in, not for all of the tea leaves in our china teapot."
"Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down," said the pig.
So he huffed and he puffed and he puffed and he huffed, but the house didn't fall down. But the pig wasn't called big and bad for nothing. He brought some dynamite, laid it against the house, lit the fuse. Oh my gosh. Look at this big bad pig. He's going to blow up their house. The house blew up. But look, there's some good news. The three little wolves just managed to escape with their fluffy tails scorched. "Something must be wrong with our building materials," they said. Oh, it's the wolves talking. So, "Something must be wrong with our building materials," they said. "We have to try something different." But what? At that moment, they saw a flamingo coming along, pushing a wheelbarrow full of flowers. "Please, will you give us some flowers?" asked the little wolves. "With pleasure," said the flamingo, and he gave them lots of flowers. So the three little wolves built themselves a house of flowers. I don't see how that will keep the wolf out. But I guess they've tried fortifying their house as much as possible. That means making it really strong. One wall was of marigolds, one of daffodils, one of pink roses, and one of cherry blossoms. The ceiling was made of sunflowers, and the floor was a carpet of daisies. They had water lilies in their bathtubs and buttercups in the refrigerator. It was a rather fragile house, and it swayed in the wind, but it was very beautiful. The next day, the big bad pig came prowling down the road and saw the house of flowers that the three little wolves had built. He rang the bluebell, that's a kind of flower, at the door and said,
"Little frightened wolves with the trembling chins and the scorched tails, let me come in."
"No, no, no," said the three little wolves. "By the hair on our chinny chin chins, we will not let you in. Not for all the tea leaves in our china teapot."
"Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down,"
said the pig. That actually never seems to work for the pig. But as he took a deep breath, ready to huff and puff, he smelled the soft scent of the flowers. It was fantastic. And because the scent was so lovely, the pig took another breath and then another. Instead of huffing and puffing, he began to sniff. He sniffed deeper and deeper until he was quite filled with the fragrant scent. His heart grew tender, and he realized how horrible he had been. Right then, he decided to become a big, good pig. He started to sing and to dance the tarantella. Look at that reformed pig, changed by the flowers, and the wolves can't believe it. At first, the three little wolves were a bit worried. It might be a trick, but soon they realized that the pig had truly changed. So they came running out of the house. They started playing games with him. First, they played ping pong, then piggy in the middle, and then when they were all tired, they invited him into the house. They offered him tea and strawberries and wolfberries and asked him to stay with them as long as he wanted. The pig accepted, and they all lived happily together ever after. And there's a picture of them. There's that nice picture of them all being friends, which I guess that's the end. I guess it was very forgiving of the pigs or of the wolves to let the big bad pig come and live with them afterwards. But this is just a fairy tale, even if it's a twisted one. So that was our twisted fairy tale for today. And I was going to share that there are other interesting versions of the Three Little Pigs too. I think that's almost the most famous and popular fairy tale there is. But feel free to disagree with me. You can let me know. I would love to discuss it. So one I wanted to mention in particular is that we have a new one where the pigs are yogis who do yoga, and they help the wolf learn how to calm down with yoga. So that one we have available at the library. All right, so that is the end of our story for today, and I will see you guys next week here on the video for a folk tale from Denmark, which is about a cat. If anyone was in my Bridges program, we read it then, and I think everybody really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to reading it for you guys. And it's still early in June, so if you haven't picked up a summer reading program packet yet, go ahead and call the library so that you can pick one up. All right, that's it. I'll see you guys next week.